So our car is not driving very well right now. The friction is a bit too low. So what we're going to do now is try to figure out the friction for the car and make it a bit more stable. So if I try to drive now, and I start running, you can see how I'm sliding all over the place. And to fix this, we have a few options. So first thing, what we can do is go into our back and front wheel, click right click and edit. And in here we have this option for friction force multiplier. This is basically just the general friction of your tires. So this can be kind of useful if you have already your physics material set up and you just want to kind of give the general feel of the car. So you can just modify this number and then make the car more or less have more or less friction. And you can do this both for front wheel and back wheel. Now this is kind of a general friction for a car, but if you want like a specific friction change per material, so maybe you're driving over a dirt road, maybe over a street, maybe at some point on ice, you have to change the friction of that specific material. To do that, let's click right click here and let's go to physics and find physics material, and let's name it PM. Let's do street. Now if we open this, we can see our default friction, our static friction, and then a few other things that we don't really care about. So these two are kind of the most important. So let's put friction to 0. So 0 would be like a perfect ice, like perfectly frictionless ice, which does not really exist, but for our case I'm just going to put it to 0 so we can test it. And let's click just on this part of the road. So for this matrix city sample, our city is kind of segmented in parts that is imported from, I think, Houdini. So it would be kind of hard to set up the physics material. So we're just going to do it for this one part of the road, so we can kind of test our physics. So if you click on the part of the road, we need to select all of the static meshes on it. And then let's type material. And now we have this physics material override. And in there, we just want to set our physics material. Let's also, just in case, set it on this road. I'm not sure if they're intersecting or what is happening there. So let's click in here and now find our physics material and set it to straight. Now, if this works, our car should not move because tires need friction to actually move. So let's see what happens. And my car is not moving and he's just sliding me. That's probably because he fell from a distance. So that is good. That means that our physics asset is working. Now that we have our physics asset and we have our back wheel, this multiplier right now is not that important because our physics asset has friction of 0, which means that whatever we multiply it with, it will still be 0. So let's put this to, let's say, 1.2. And we still have here friction force multiplier to 2, so this should help it with stability. Let's see. There is another thing that you could also do, and that is to think about friction in a direction of the wheel. So if we have our tire, we can think of the friction in this direction and this direction, and it's longitudinal and longitudinal direction. So we can think if the car is going this way, should it be more or less slippery than going forward? And you can basically set that up in here. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it as it is since we don't really want to go in that amount of detail. So now that we have our friction to 1.2 multiplied by 2, we should be pretty good with friction. So let's try this. And first thing that I'm going to do is just move forward and go to this side of the street, so I can slowly rotate. We will also later work on our speed, but for now let's think about it. So I'm just gonna try to kind of speed up a bit and see how friction is treating me now. And we can see that our car basically just stopped. There was no sliding, there was no... like in here you can see how my car starts sliding. But let's go back again. You can see how our car is not sliding.